welcome to the Pigtown Cooking Demo Series in association with the local enterprise office
in the wonderful Limerick Milk Market. Hello, we're here in the Limerick Milk Market as part of Pigtown Culture Food Series Cooking Demos. We've got Keith Piggot, the head chef from No1 Pery Square, with us today. So what local ingredients have you brought with you today, Keith?
So this dish is going to be pan-fried monkfish with a barley risotto and black pudding. So barley is one of those Irish ingredients that's kind of been forgotten about. If you go to any old Irish cookbook, you'll see barley there. Loads of different guises, and it's not something you see in a lot of menus, so it's something I really like to use. We use it in a savoury context doing a risotto. We're going to make that with some Invasion IPA from Treaty City Brewery, one of Steve's little potions that he makes locally down in Nicholas Street. We're going to use some of Caroline Rigney's black pudding, which is one of the best black puddings in the country.
Definitely.
Fantastic creaminess to it, really great flavour. And they're kind of the two local elements to this dish. I have some ballyhour mushrooms here as well that I'm going to kind of chop up and add to the risotto. And I have some of their pickles there too. But again, really simple dish. Anyone could make it at home. Looking forward to showing you how to do it. Alright, so guys, so this is the dish. A barley risotto with a pan-fried monkfish and a few little extra bits and pieces, mainly featuring black pudding. So first up, I'm going to make a black pudding bonbon for you. So I'm going to get a small bit of black pudding, and I'm just going to crush it up. As simple as that. Just mix it up with your hands and then into your dish. Then I'm going to get some shallot. We tend to use shallots because they're a little bit sweeter than your normal onion. It's not something you would have seen in supermarkets a lot, but over the last few years they're actually as common as anything. You'd often see them on special in a lot of the supermarkets as well. Like I said, they just give you a little bit of extra sweetness to your dish. So, nice, simple, doesn't have to be too fine. Just gonna cut it down. And you can see there's a nice kind of small dice there. It means it's going to cook very quickly. So on with my pan. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm also going to put on some more shallot for my risotto. So same again, a couple of incisions there. And then nice and fine. There we go, some nice finely cut shallot. So, just going to take a handful of that into the pan. In with a knob of butter. I have some garlic here. I'm going to crush the garlic, like so, down to a paste, and then in we go. I have some mushrooms here, the ballyhour mushrooms. So these ballyhour mushrooms are chanterelles, and they're absolutely beautiful. Fresh from the forest this week. In we go. And I'm just going to sweat those off in the butter. I'm going to add a small bit of oil. And just for a bit of fun, we have some of the IPA. So just going to add a little bit of that too. And the flames there, that's just the alcohol from the beer cooking off. And that will leave us with the flavour of the beer, which is what we're looking for. So this doesn't take too long. I'm going to add some chopped chives to it. And there you go. As simple as that, it's all done. All we've done is sweat it off lightly. We don't want them to be overcooked, we just want them to be soft. We want the sweetness of the onion to start releasing. And so, in we go. And we'll put the pan back there. So we have our mushroom, our chives, our shallot, and our black pudding. And all we do is mix it together. So if you've got chef hands, you can get the hands right in there. It's hot, but it's not that hot. And you just mix it around, like so. So you end up with everything well mixed together. And then all we're going to do is grab it and ball it up like that. Now they're a bit warm, so you have to be a bit gentle with them. But there we go, black pudding bonbon. So all we've done is taken one of the finest black puddings in the country, added a few more local ingredients to it to make it even finer. And what we're going to do with that now is we're going to pane it. So breadcrumbs, flour and egg. So start off with it, toss it in flour, then toss it in egg, then toss it in breadcrumbs, and we'll deep fry it. And I have some of those made that are done already, and we'll add them to the final dish. So it's like I say, black pudding bonbon, very simple, and that's one element of the dish. The next element of the dish is the risotto. So yet again, on with our heat. I'm going to start this in a pot. Little bit of oil. Little bit of garlic. So again, I have my garlic here. I'm going to crush it. And you want the garlic to be like a paste, because you want that to break down inside in the food. You don't want lumps of garlic. So in with the garlic, and then in with our shallot that we cut a while ago. There we go. So we're going to sweat down the garlic and the shallot. I also have some celery here. We'll sweat that down too. Celery gives a lovely aniseedy flavour. So what you have here is your stalk of celery and your celery leaves on top. A lot of people see the celery leaf and go, what is it? But it's actually really tasty, beautiful in a salad, and it'll actually make a lovely garnish in the finish here. So we'll keep that and we'll set it aside in there. So then I get my celery, and same as the onion, I want to cut it the same size. So just cut it into nice thin strips. And then on the board, and just rock your knife through it. That nice rocking motion stops you from cutting your hand and gets that lovely nice small dice of the celery. Celery is one of those flavors, it's beautiful and it really adds to something, but you don't want big chunks of it either. So in we go. So I'm going to add a little bit of butter to that, just to loosen it up a bit. And again, we do exactly as we did in the pan. We're just sweating it down. We don't want to color the garlic. We don't want to color the celery or the onion. We just want to sweat it down. And again, it's about releasing the sweetness and releasing the flavor. We don't want to burn anything or color anything. So next up, I have my barley. And again, barley is one of those Irish ingredients. Like I said, it's very unheralded. We grow lots of barley in this country, but it tends to end up in whiskey and beer, which isn't a bad thing at all, but people forget to eat it as well, and one of my favorite ingredients. So once this is softened down, I'm going in with the barley. I'm going to mix it around. Make sure the barley gets coated in the garlic, coated in the onion, and takes in all those flavors. So I've already used the pale ale to flavor the bonbon, and now I'm going to back up that flavor by adding a bit to the burlotto. So when you traditionally make a rice risotto, you're using arborio rice, but we've replaced that with our barley. You traditionally use white wine. We've replaced that with our IPA from Nicholas Street. And then we'll reduce that down, we'll let it cook away. And traditionally when you make a rice risotto, you'll use stock to kind of cook it down, and you'll stand over it for a couple of hours stirring it. The great thing about barley is you don't need to stand over it. Instead of using a stock, I'm actually using chopped tomatoes. So just a tin of chopped tomatoes is all you need. And once the beer is reduced down, in with the tomato. And then you let it cook away until the barley loses its hardness. You still want a small bite to the barley, but you know, you don't want it rock hard. It's just almost al dente like you would with a pasta. So that's our barley risotto cooking away. So next up we're going to look at our fish. So what I have here is some monkfish. One of the ugliest fish in the sea, but possibly one of the tastiest as well. So when you go to the fishmonger, ask them to fillet and trim the monkfish for you. I'm just taking off the membrane at the bottom of it. There we go. This little membrane here, if you see that on it, you kind of need to get rid of it because it kind of toughens up the monkfish because it contracts when it's cooking. So there we go. Done that little bit of fish butchery. That's there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to season it. And I season it a few minutes before I put it in the pan because I want to extract some of the moisture. And that's what salt does. Salt extracts the moisture, brings it out, and it just firms up the fish a little and makes it easier to cook. So that's there. I'm just going to take the risotto out of the way. I'm going to put our pan up here. The other thing you can do then with fish to make it a little bit easier to cook, just get a clean towel and put the fish in the towel. And then when the moisture comes out, the moisture is soaking into the towel, and as it soaks in, it means that you're taking the moisture away from the fish, and then when the fish hits the pan, it's a much crispier finish to the fish. Makes it a much more pleasant mouthfeel, and it looks absolutely fantastic because it goes up. Now you can see it, that fish is starting to firm up already, and it's kind of dried up as well. So I'm happy with that. We'll work away. I have my pan on. So I'm just going to give the pan a small wipe. Just to make sure it's nice and clean. So anytime you're cooking fish, you can see the smoke starting to rise from the pan, and that's the level you want it to be at. You want that kind of heat in the pan. If you don't have that kind of heat, the fish will stick. So in with some oil. You can see it, pan is still smoking. I'm going to turn it up. Full blast. So what we're looking for when this goes in is a really nice sizzle. And you can hear it there. It's one of the beautiful things about a kitchen. You use all your senses. So I can smell it cooking, I can hear it cooking, I get to taste it after it's cooked. It's my favorite part of the job. So you can see now that's in the pan. I've pressed it down to make sure the full skin is in contact with the pan. That way I know it's cooking through and I know I'm going to get the finish that I want on the skin. So leave it there. Again, I'm not too tempted to shake the pan. If you shake the pan, the fish will break up, and it also stops that lovely kind of skin, crispy skin from forming on it as well. So just leave it there. Be brave. Don't move it. You might think it's going to burn. It's not. It's just going to crisp up perfectly for you. So again, I have some butter, I have some garlic, and I have some herbs ready. Whilst I'm at it, I'm actually going to fry off some black pudding that I have left over as well. So in we go, like so. Just going to get my barley back and get that on. So that we're ready to plate up when it's time. I'm going to loosen up the barley with a little bit of the beer. Lots of herb. And a nice bit of cheese. What I'm using there is Mossfield Gouda, which is an organic Gouda. and you can get it at the market every Saturday down below. So we'll let that cook away. Now I'm going to go back to my fish. So I've got my fish slice, and I just come in under, turn it over, and you get that nice golden look. And then turn it over again. That's what you're looking for, that lovely golden crisp. So now it's time to add some butter. So in with the butter, in with the garlic, and in with the herbs. And I'm going to turn it down ever so slightly so that the butter doesn't burn. And I'm just going to let that butter foam away again. You can see that our barley is starting to cook up there. It's going to clean down a little now and get ready to plate up. So clean as we go, as much as possible. So you can see our barley. It's nice and soft. The tomato has reduced down. The cheese has melted into it. That cheese that I put in there, should we put another drop in? And you see it, it just melts away into it, and that's just adding goodness and a little bit of stickiness and creaminess to it as well. So in we go like that. I'll turn that heat right down now, because all we want to do is just keep it warm. You can see our pan is working away. Let's get another spoon. So I'm going to put the fish up this end of the pan. Black pudding can be turned over, it's nearly there. And all we're going to do is use that garlic. It's basically garlic and rosemary butter. And they're nearly done now. So, I have a little bit of lemon juice here. Just going to squeeze it in, helps with the finish. Gets a lovely bit of tanginess. More fresh herbs. Just a lovely bit of colour. Again, we'll get these guys out of the way. I have some fresh thyme here, or fresh dill here that I'm going to use. So now, monkfish is quite like meat in the sense that it's a similar kind of texture. So it's important that you let it rest like you would meat. You wouldn't need to let it rest for 20 minutes or so, but just give it a couple of minutes to get its texture back. So you can see that lovely colour, fresh herb, bit of lemon juice. And what I'm going to do whilst it's resting, I'm just going to let it baste in the butter. So I have my black pudding that was cooked. There we go, into our pot. I have my barley with a very hot spoon, so I'm going to change the spoon. So all I do is get a nice quenelle of the barley like so. So just move it around the pan until you get a nice shape. And you can see the way the cheese is melted in, it's beautiful and sticky. On we go. Then I get my monkfish, like so. And we have our celery leaf that we saved from earlier. I have some pickles here. So I've got some carrot pickles and some of our mushroom pickles. Getting cleaned down. And finally I have my black pudding bonbons. So we've deep fried these and I just kept them warm in the oven. In we go, like so. And I have some spinach and apple puree, Atty Flynn apple juice, and Kevin Wallace's spinach. And just a little flake around just to give it a little bit of moisture. And that's our finished dish. Monkfish, barley, and black pudding.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you especially to our chefs for taking part in this chef demo series at the Limerick Milk Market. Our sponsors, I have to say a big thank you to, because we couldn't do this without you. And we hope you enjoyed it. Look for the other videos on our YouTube channel. Follow us on our other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and please check out pigtown.ie, where you'll find out all about Limerick Food Group, Pigtown, and everything else that we do. Thanks.